Did you know that about 30% of toddlers have trouble sleeping through the night? That means many parents are up multiple times each night trying to get their little ones back to sleep. Lack of sleep can lead to tantrums, irritability, and even trouble learning. So, why is bedtime such a struggle for so many families? In this video, we'll explore the most common sleep training methods and find out which ones really work, and which ones don't. You'll discover surprising facts, like how a bedtime routine can make a huge difference in your child's sleep, and why some popular techniques might be making things worse. Stick with us and find out how to turn bedtime into a peaceful, stress-free experience, for both you and your toddler. Chapter 1. The Sleep Struggle. Why toddlers fight bedtime. Let's face it, getting a toddler to sleep feels like an Olympic sport. They're full of energy, emotions, and an uncanny ability to resist bedtime. But why is bedtime such a battle? Experts say it often comes down to developmental stages. Toddlers are learning autonomy, and bedtime is one of the few areas where they can exercise control. They may resist sleep simply because they don't want to give up that control. The truth is, toddlers' sleep needs change constantly. A 2-year-old may need up to 12–14 hours of sleep a day, while a 3-year-old might need a bit less. Inconsistent sleep patterns during this time can make the struggle worse. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, toddlers who get regular naps and a consistent bedtime routine sleep better overall. So, what's the solution? A predictable routine. Start by setting a consistent bedtime. Studies show that children who have regular sleep times fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. A bedtime routine helps your toddler transition from playtime to sleep mode, signaling to them that it's time to wind down. You don't need to go overboard. Simple activities like reading a story, brushing teeth, or listening to soft music can do wonders. One thing to keep in mind, toddlers are wired to test limits. As tempting as it is to let them stay up a little longer, remember that the consistency of your routine is key. The more consistent you are, the more your toddler will understand that bedtime isn't negotiable. And yes, that means no extra cuddles or excuses for one more book. Interestingly, research shows that toddlers who don't get enough sleep during the day are more likely to have behavior problems and trouble regulating emotions. A well-rested toddler is more likely to be in a good mood during the day, making bedtime struggles less frequent in the long run. So, sticking to the routine might feel tough at first, but it's worth the effort. Chapter 2. Miracle or Myth? The truth behind sleep training techniques. You've probably heard about various sleep training methods, but how effective are they really? Let's take a closer look at some of the most talked about strategies. First, let's tackle the cry it out, CIO, method. While this method does work for some families, it's not for everyone. In CIO, the idea is that the child will eventually learn to self-soothe and fall asleep independently. Some studies suggest it may lead to longer sleep durations and less nighttime waking. But here's the catch, CIO doesn't work for every toddler, and it can cause a lot of stress for both child and parent. Another popular method is the Ferber method, which involves letting your child cry for short intervals before comforting them. Some experts claim it's a good middle ground between CIO and more gentle approaches. Research by Dr. Richard Ferber himself supports the idea that this method helps children learn self-soothing without causing long-term emotional harm. Then there's the no tears approach, which focuses on soothing your toddler without letting them cry at all. This method involves rocking, gentle patting, or sitting by your child's bed until they fall asleep. While this approach may take longer to show results, it's a good option if your child is particularly sensitive to distress. What works for one family may not work for another. In a study by the National Institutes of Health, sleep training was shown to improve sleep in toddlers, no matter which method was used. However, what's most important is consistency. Pick a method, stick with it, and stay patient. If you want a truly unique approach, consider incorporating the pick up, put down technique. This method involves picking up your child when they cry, comforting them briefly, then putting them back in their crib. It's less harsh than CIO but still teaches your child to self-soothe. Interestingly, a study from the University of Pittsburgh found that this technique can work for toddlers as young as 6 months old, and it doesn't have the same emotional toll as other methods. Ultimately, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to sleep training. What matters is creating a plan that works for your child's temperament and sticking with it. Studies suggest that children who have a predictable bedtime routine and consistent sleep environment are more likely to sleep through the night. Chapter 3. Ditch the crying. Calming techniques that actually work. If the idea of letting your toddler cry it out seems unbearable, you're not alone. Luckily, there are plenty of calming techniques that can help without the tears. Let's dive into some options that are both gentle and effective. One of the easiest ways to calm your toddler before bed is through sensory relaxation. A soothing bath can help your toddler wind down, and research from the Sleep Foundation suggests that warm water increases the body's core temperature, which naturally leads to feelings of drowsiness. Pair the bath with calming scents, such as lavender, which has been shown to improve sleep quality in children. White noise machines are another excellent option for calming your child. Studies show that background noise can mimic the sounds of the womb, making your toddler feel more secure. You don't need to invest in a fancy machine, simple apps on your phone can do the trick. The constant, rhythmic sound will help block out any disruptive noises and create a peaceful sleep environment. If your toddler is old enough, consider teaching them breathing exercises. These simple techniques can calm their mind and body, making it easier for them to relax. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Child and Adolescent Psychology found that teaching toddlers deep breathing exercises helped them feel more in control and less anxious about bedtime. Another calming strategy is gradual sleep training. This method involves gradually reducing your level of involvement in your toddler's bedtime routine. You can start by sitting next to their crib and slowly move further away each night. This gradual approach helps your toddler feel more secure, while still encouraging them to fall asleep independently. You might also want to try using a weighted blanket. Studies show that deep touch pressure, such as the sensation of a weighted blanket, can have a calming effect on the nervous system. While this technique is not recommended for very young toddlers, it may work well for older children who have trouble settling down. Lastly, consistency is key. It's tempting to try new methods every night, but sticking to one calming technique is more likely to bring long-term success. Whether it's a specific type of music, a bedtime story, or a sensory tool like a soft stuffed animal, the key is to make it part of the routine. In fact, research suggests that toddlers who experience consistent and predictable sleep rituals are more likely to enjoy better sleep quality. By sticking with calming methods that work, your toddler will begin to associate bedtime with peace and relaxation rather than stress. Don't forget to subscribe for more expert tips on sleep training and parenting. Chapter 4. The bedtime rituals you didn't know your toddler needed. Creating a bedtime ritual is one of the most powerful tools in your sleep training toolkit. But what makes a bedtime ritual effective? It's all about consistency and sensory cues. A calming, predictable routine will help signal to your toddler that it's time to wind down for the night. Start by establishing a short, soothing ritual. This could include reading a book, having a cup of warm milk, or doing some gentle stretching. The idea is to make these activities a regular part of bedtime so that your toddler associates them with sleep. Research shows that toddlers who follow a regular bedtime routine fall asleep faster and have fewer nighttime awakenings. Another simple but powerful bedtime ritual is offering a security object, like a stuffed animal or blanket. This object can provide comfort and help your toddler feel safe during the night. Interestingly, studies have shown that toddlers who sleep with a familiar item tend to have better sleep quality and fewer night wakings. A consistent bedtime environment is just as important. Keep the room dark, quiet, and cool to help your toddler sleep better. Studies suggest that the optimal temperature for sleep is between 65 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. You can also try using blackout curtains to block out any disruptive light, which may help your toddler fall asleep more quickly. Chapter 5. Sleep Training Pitfalls. what not to do, and why. As you begin your sleep training journey, it's easy to fall into common traps that can actually make things worse. One of the biggest mistakes parents make is being inconsistent. Switching between different methods or changing your toddler's bedtime routine every few days can confuse them and make the process take longer. Another pitfall is overstimulating your toddler before bed. Too much screen time, rough play, or sugary snacks can leave them too wired to sleep. In fact, research shows that screen time before bed is linked to poorer sleep quality in children, as the blue light emitted by devices interferes with the production of melatonin, the hormone that makes us feel sleepy. Also, be cautious about using your presence as a crutch. If you consistently rock your toddler to sleep or stay in the room until they fall asleep, they may become dependent on your presence to fall asleep. Gradual sleep training is much more effective in teaching your child to self-soothe. Chapter 6. Beyond Sleep. The link between sleep habits and toddler behavior. Sleep is not just about getting through the night. It's directly linked to your toddler's mood, behavior, and development. Studies have shown that toddlers who get enough sleep are more likely to have better attention spans, improved learning abilities, and less irritability. Good sleep habits can also make your toddler more adaptable and resilient. Research from the Sleep Foundation reveals that children who get sufficient rest are better at handling stressful situations and show fewer signs of anxiety. This is especially important as they start to navigate more complex emotions and social situations. By making sleep a priority and following the tips in this video, you'll not only improve your toddler's sleep but also set them up for success in all areas of their development. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips to make parenting a little easier.